So joining me now is that Attorney General of the state of Texas and a Senate candidate. As a Republican, it is Ken Paxton. Ken, it's good to see you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Okay, this story is wild and it is complicated. But you step into this story at the stage of making it simple. Make sure this kid receives medical care.
That's all we wanted. All the medical care necessary that anybody would want. Just the necessary medical care, whatever that is, provide it to the baby. Seems
because
like a reasonable request.
He would need medical care immediately upon birth. He needed several surgeries. Children with this condition that he was born with, by the way, have a very high survivability rate, but they need these surgeries, and so your office steps in to ensure that no matter who has custody, the kid is getting the care.
Yeah, and so those surgeries, I think there's 3 of them. This is a new condition for me, but apparently the first one has to be done in the first 7 days. So my understanding that's coming, and then there are 2 other surgeries, and I don't know what the timing are, but we want to just make sure that the baby has the opportunity to have the medically necessary treatment so that it can live.
Now, I understand your office has stepped in for that simple purpose. Make sure the baby lives. That wasn't so simple just a few months into the pregnancy. And it does put the law, contract law, and the entire idea of surrogacy into question. What happens when you have a conflict between parents and a surrogate mother? Who gets to decide the future of that child?
It's a complicated issue because every state has different laws, and because it's such a new area, a lot of these laws are not caught up to things like this, caught up to reality. So the legislature in Texas and other states is going to have to think about this more broadly and think about the different nuances or different ways things can play out and start figuring out what do we do from a policy standpoint in Texas.
Well, I cannot imagine a state legislature or a judge out there could ever come down on the side of, no, you must force this abortion. That just does not seem like an outcome that could ever be embraced by the force of the state. No, the parents want to have an abortion, contract law, sorry, you must abort.
Yeah, it does seem like that would be very unlikely, but we have different states that some are, in my opinion, irrational, that wouldn't care about the baby, but hopefully no state would go that far.
And now the question is who has custody?
Yeah.
Who makes future decisions for that child?
Yeah, I think what we care about is we're not in the custody fight. We don't have a preference one way or the other how this turns out. We just want to make sure that that baby is taken care of, that whatever medical treatment is needed is done, whether that's today or whether that's in whatever year. I don't know how long it takes to do all of that.
All right, Mr. Attorney General, you're also running for Senate against James Tallarico. Polls suggest this is really tight. One of the tightest out there. A newest Emerson poll has it at 1-point race between the two. And there are people that are concerned. Is Texas going to go blue?
So no one should be surprised. 6 years ago, we had a very similar race. Ted Cruz narrowly pulled out a win over Beto O'Rourke. It was a very similar time. It was a midterm election. Trump was in office. Midterm elections tend to break against the party in power. That's just, you can look at the history of it. I don't quite understand why, but what happens in places like Texas too, and in Republican states like Iowa and pick other Kansas and Nebraska, you have an enthusiasm gap because you have Republicans who are happy with their government. They're happy that they got the president they want, and they tend to not be as motivated to get out and vote. So those are the voters we have to get out to vote. We have more Republicans here than we have Democrats, but the enthusiasm gap is what we have to find a way to close. We close that gap, and we're going to win. And we also obviously need to highlight the fact that I'm running against a Democratic socialist who's trying to hide every view he ever had and change every view he ever had, and he's got a lot of money from California, mostly, to go out and advertise. And he started in July. I'm catching up because I had a 3-month runoff that he didn't have to deal with. So once we get that message out, I believe Texans will not go with a Democratic socialist who's wrong on all the issues.
All right, we'll be watching. It's important.
Thanks.
All right, Attorney General Ken Paxton, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
All right, ahead.